Hey everybody, it's Elizabeth and welcome back to my gardens. So today I'm going to work on just a really small section of a flower bed because I went to the nursery looking for a specific plant. They didn't have it, but I had some other ideas in mind and quickly saw what I needed there at the local nursery. So this is, well, more so this. Right here is what we're going to be working on today. So this right here is a perennial hibiscus that I need to take out. This perennial hibiscus is struggling. There's weeds back there at the bottom, so it's not really as green as it kind of gives you this misconception of. This actually grows so big that it comes over this walkway and I have to prune it. And so then it gets this weird look. It's just not loving its life here. So I'm going to be digging this out, and this is the location I actually went to the nursery for. I want a tall, narrow evergreen here, but that does not get too big. And she has a shipment coming in next week. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean the spot up for now because I want to relocate this. And then this area here is just sad. So tiny bit of backstory. Back here we used to have a really large rose, like tricolor, gorgeous, had been there forever, and for some random reason it just died last year. And then I put in this little guy, which I think we're gonna relocate. And then this is a hosta, which, I mean, you can see it just looks a little sad. I might just trim it up, kind of unsure. Gonna figure that out as I go. And then this all in here is just weeds, and we're gonna clean all that up. I put in a little perennial flower here this year. It's died back. I don't know why it did not survive. So let me show you my idea for this spot and what's going to go in here. Okay, here are the new plants I got. I am so excited. Look at the color on these. So gorgeous. So I definitely am trying to add evergreens everywhere I can. Otherwise, the other two things here are shrubs, but just the color combination of these is divine, and they're going to be in this order. This will be in the back there, and the reason for that is the side of everything. Hi, Ozzy. No. Maple, no. Anyway, is the size that they're going to be. So this is already a really good size. She had a smaller one, and I opted to spend a little more to get that kind of instant reward. It will drop its leaves in the winter. So, but that's okay, because look how lovely it is. This will get to be 3 to 6 feet tall, 3 to 4 feet around. So it's going to be my backdrop in this little corner here where that rose used to be. And then just in front of it is this, which I believe... Let me see if there's, I don't think there, oh, some kind of tag. Yeah, little giant arborvitae. This guy has an upright growth habit. Will get to be 4 by 4, and it may take it a couple of years. So it's going to be my second layer. And then in front of that, which I'm thinking is either going to be just to the left of the hosta or replace the hosta. And that's this guy, which is a Barberry Sunjoy Neo, and she said that the leaves do first come out as green and then they turn to red. So this is adorable, but this is small. This is a compact shrub. It only gets 2.5 feet tall and wide, so that would get to be about the size of the hosta that's there. And so I'm really thinking it needs to be kind of in the middle. What I might do is dig up the hosta and divide it and put it on each side of this red barberry. And then of course we're pulling out all of the garden decor, mulching and replacing garden decor, and this is going to be fun. The biggest job will be relocating this guy. I have decided where it's going to go, and I'm going to put the perennial hibiscus on the other side of over by my pool, by the deck, because of course it has that tropical vibe, beautiful flowers. It just needs somewhere to literally sprawl out. It's probably got at least a 6-foot diameter in the summertime when it's happy and blooming, and it just has never had that space here. So we're going to give it that space. These grow back on new softwood every year, so, and they transplant sadly. So they will survive, but they look horrible. So if I just moved this today without pruning anything, it'll just drop all its leaves. I just transplanted another variety of this, a different color, in the cottage garden in one of the last videos that you saw, and it's doing exactly what I expected. So instead of, you know, knowing that that's what it's going to do, I'm just going to hard prune it so it's something smaller to move, and then I'm going to move it. And cross my fingers and hope it goes well, because it's beautiful and it flowers all the time. It just is too big for this spot. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to start on this hibiscus by doing some pruning. And I'm going to leave some lower leaves so that the next few weeks it can hopefully soak up some sunshine. And then I'll wait. I'll see if those fall off, but I'm getting rid of most of the bush. Here is what we're left with. Okay, this project is at a complete standstill. Multiple factors. One, when I put this plant in the ground, it was much smaller and there was landscape fabric around it. And so the plant grew, so I'm having to like really kind of like dig that away, which has been near impossible on one side. I get the front loose and I come around on the other side and I get a few inches down, and I have this problem in multiple flower beds. There is a brick because this house actually burnt down, I think in the 70s, and they rebuilt the exact same house, exact same place, but just like basically kind of like around the foundation. When they tore down the house, they kind of just buried some of the rubble. So a lot of flower beds around the house, I find bricks and all sorts of random things in the dirt. So found a brick, went a few inches around, found another brick. So on my right side, I got 2 bricks that are wedged down in there. So I'm like, okay, I'll just work on the other side. Okay, now if you know me, major fear of snakes, okay? So I had to pull out all these weeds because they were growing around the base of the plant, to access the plant to see where I wanted to dig in at. You can see right there the landscape fabric and a worm. And this light spot right there, that's one of the bricks. So I talk myself into standing in this corner, even though I was petrified of potential snakes, because there's a bunch of leaves there. I just pulled them out with the shovel. They're all over the place. It was just a perfect habitat for snakes, right? Well, then I come over here and I'm working on the front again. This is the only part I've been able to get loose. And look what I find in the soil. That is a dead baby snake that I chopped in half with my shovel. Don't know what kind. Don't ask me what kind. I'm afraid of them all. But anyway, and my immediate thought is, where there's a baby, there's a mama. And I'm not going to stand feet exposed in proper shoe attire and get all up in there. Not going to do it. So this is one of the few things that comes to gardening that my husband helps me with. And I don't mean that in a bad way. He knows like gardening is my love. It's my vibe, whatever. And like weeding, nobody really loves weeding. It's hard on our backs. So my husband always told me, Maple, no. My husband always told me, I'll help you with anything in the world. I don't want to pull weeds. I'm like, perfect. So, you know, he helps me with planting and all sorts of stuff as needed. But for the most part, I deal with it myself. But this he will help me with because he knows I'm petrified of snakes. And honestly, if he were here right now and he saw me in there in these kind of shoes, needing to get into the back of this bed like this, he wouldn't want me to do it anyway. So I'm literally, my husband's still working. It's like 6 o'clock in the evening. And I'm just going to leave everything as it is. I don't even feel comfortable getting back there in that bed, pulling weeds. None of that. Thankfully, those are like easy weeds to pull, so it's not like it'll be terrible work for him. It's these like soft viney weeds that you like pull and you've already got like a third of it up because it's just all attached. So anyways, he'll have no problem getting this hibiscus out because he's super strong. And then we'll see if he feels like helping pull the weeds and the leaves and stuff out of there, because I was actually going to use my thin rake while I was doing this and pull all of the junk out of back there and clean it up, mulch, whatever. And so that would help cut down on like snake habitat, not having that all like, you know, bedding packed in there. So I was going to do that anyway, but anyway, so I'm going to have to leave it for the hubby. I will be back at you in a bit, let you know what happens. So call me crazy, but it is a couple days later, and my husband did finish digging up that plant for me, because y'all, the anxiety around that is real. So this is what that area looks like now. That plant was moved right there, right over there on the end of the deck. See? Perfect. Now, I have decided that I just scared myself. I'm going to try and tackle this morning. Weather's nice. We're looking at tomorrow and the next 2 days of being like possibly torrential downpours due to a hurricane coming inland and being a tropical storm. So I'm not going to be able to do anything outside. And these plants are literally like, I just left this all here. Just left it all here and ran away like a little baby. And I'm not making fun of anyone else who is afraid of snakes, because I'm still afraid of snakes. But I do feel like it's important to try to face your fears, but also be prepared. Be smart. So here's what I'm doing. To be prepared, okay? I have jeans on and my cowgirl boots. So I have not worn these to garden ever since I was actually out in the big garden, which I would always do that because that garden was surrounded in tall grass, and animals are being crazy this morning. Anyway, so this makes me feel more prepared. Boots always make me feel like my feet and my ankles and above my ankles are protected, because I don't think a snake bite can get through like a real leather, and most often they're going to strike, you know, near the bottom of your body. And then I could have wore shorts with my boots, but jeans make me feel like I have like another layer of protection. Now granted, these are thin, stretchy denim, so they're probably not going to help, but in my mind it helps. And you have to build courage however you can. So this is what I'm doing. And my first plan of attack is to take the other garden decor out of the back that's there. And then I'm going to use my thin rake to rake the excess leaves and stuff off, because then that will actually give me more visibility. If there is a snake back there, I would be much more likely to see it. That snake I did find was brown. So I think my husband said it was non-venomous, but you know, I'm more worried about its mama being somewhere around. And so anyways, so I just want to be able to have that better visibility before I'm reaching down and pulling weeds, because I have more weeds in the back and the middle that I've got to pull by hand, and I just don't want to be reaching down there and not know it's there. So I'm going to use the thin wiry rake to just get the surface stuff off, and then I have my big heavy rake for when I put my mulch down. And anyway, so I'm just going to get started on that. We'll do some time lapse, and then I'll show you how everything's going. Okay, I feel so much better. Man, that made a huge difference. Look at that. Put all that stuff out. I'm leaving that toolbox back there for now because it's gonna, I think, mostly be behind that plant. But that's also just like I had over there. That's just something we use to kind of try to close up that crawl space, but it's like just partly open right now. So I think maybe I can reposition that rock. There's a big rock right there next to it. So look better if that wasn't back there. But anyway, so my next goal is to dig up these 2 plants, and I've got to decide if they're going to be incorporated into this spot or not, or moved or whatever. I might try and divide the hosta, and there is really thick landscape fabric in this area that I don't feel like really does a great job, and I might end up pulling up just this section in the process of working on this, kind of to be determined. Let me get back to work. That kitty. Oh, look at that kitty. Oh, be lovely. Oh, be lovely. Best buds. Okay, so I ended up, look at Maple's like, she blends in, but she's like, ooh, dirt. So I ended up pulling up that landscape fabric. You guys, it's been there for probably 3 years, and that's a really thick professional grade stuff. And I still, as you saw, have to weed over there all the time. So I think, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's done a good job, like smothering out like the grass weeds. We'll see. I'm not going to replace it. I'm just going to do my thing. And we'll keep an eye on it. You know, kind of reevaluate next year. But it's the thing with the landscape fabric. Let me give you my 2 cents on that really quick. It can be so great. I have it all over my property. Thin ones, thick ones. Like, I still use it today. But if you do the really thick one that works the best, and it's a bed that you're going to be planting in seasonally or popping in annuals here and there, it's a real pain in the butt because you've got to dig back your mulch, you've got to cut your cross in it, your X, open it up, whatever. And then, as I just discovered with multiple plants, is that I think things were struggling over here because they had actually been in for a couple of years, and they had grown at the base, or like the neck of the plant, to the size of the hole in the landscape fabric, and we're just kind of like stuck trying to push that. This hibiscus here struggled because there's the concrete footer for the porch, and then there was that brick. Like, literally its roots were up against and wrapped around that brick. So definitely things to keep in mind. But you can see the soil looks really good because it's been covered so long, so it's dark. All of the soil right around our house is actually the best because, like I mentioned either in this video or the last, the original house here burnt down at some point in time, and then when they built it back in the exact same spot, same footprint, a lot of the debris that was left over from the fire, they buried around the perimeter of the house. And so, like, it's just really good soil because there was like ash and all sorts of stuff that just broke down all around the house. Whole rest of the yard is clay, but around the house is good. So anyways, so what I'm going to do, I brought over my pellet fertilizer. I'm going to sprinkle that everywhere because I think this area is just really like missing out on some stuff. And then I brought my this tool to, once I do the fertilizer, just kind of like loosen the soil surface. Be great if I had a bigger one, but like my hoe is like flat blade, and this is really good for, like, you know, aerating the top layer of soil and just kind of incorporating that fertilizer. And then I'm going to place my plants and look at them and figure out what I want to do. Oh, I also want to mention, I did move the toolbox, and it's going to sound weird, and I guess if you get it, you get it, but the toolbox belongs to my husband's son that is like 20. And he moved out of home by the time he was like 17. And there's just like a distant relationship there. And when he lived here, he loves to fish. Absolutely loves to fish. So that's his tackle box that always sat on the porch. And over the years of not seeing him as much as we would love to, I've always left that toolbox, that tackle box, on the porch. Because to me, I feel like it's symbolism of, like, he's with us even if he's not with us. And, like, letting him know, like, that's your stuff, this is your home too, you're always welcome here, that sort of thing. And so, like, in 4 years, that's not left the front of the house. It's either been right there on the side of the porch and I incorporated it into my porch decor, or it's been over there where you saw it. Maple. So that's important to me to leave that. So I just wanted to like move it because it was down there in dirt and stuff. And then that reminded me, this is a wagon wheel. I don't know how well you can see it, but the wagon wheel used to be on the other side of the crepe myrtle because there was no shrub there and you could see it against the house. This is a wagon wheel that my husband was gifted many years ago, and he's had setting in front of his house for like 15 years. So when I started landscaping, I landscaped around it. I love the wagon wheel too. We've got them all over our property. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to roll it over here. There's no longer a really tall rose bush there. And when that back shrub gets to be really tall, we'll move it somewhere else where it can be seen. But it was not being seen at all because the cedar or whatever it is I have over there is like, you know, 7-8 feet tall now. So anyway, so just explaining a few of those things. Let me get to work on this bed. Okay, we're getting really bright right now and we're gonna have shadows and stuff, but here's what I'm thinking right now. So right now where everything is, they have enough room to expand to like their max size, which may be like next summer before they're that way. As a reminder, the one in the back gets like 6 by 6. He can sprawl on that whole corner. This evergreen gets about 4 by 4, so it'll be my second layer down. This red one, barberry, gets to be about 2.5 by 2.5. So I didn't like this open spot, so I brought my pampas grass over here. I wasn't going to include it here, but the size it is right now is almost its max size. Just as with any other perennial grass, it will continue to grow at the root, and just like hostas, you can divide them and stuff. So this would be the perfect size. So like next year, if it was like double size, I could just divide it, kind of keep it smaller like this. I really like this visual, and I'm trying to remind myself, okay, there's going to be a tall evergreen here, but I've got all this space and I don't want to, you know, it's kind of too late in the year to do annuals. I don't like open spaces too much. Like, I'm fine with a few feet around plants because like I'm realistic. I know they're going to grow in just like, you know, over there, but I'm thinking about like stealing some garden decor from somewhere else in the yard. To put in this, just to like fill the space, not with plants but with stuff. And so I'm gonna go hunting for that, see what I find, and figure that out before I plant anything. Okay, I think I have a plan, at least for now. So we have the plants where they were, and then did some garden decor right there with the turtle. I brought this sign over from a different spot. When I get everything done, I'm gonna put this little butterfly over here somewhere. Again, we're leaving this open for an evergreen. I pulled out this coleus here. That was back there by the porch. It's an annual for us, so I decided to just pop it in here because I never planted anything in that this year. But I hated this color next to that color. So I ended up separating it by stuff. They're not visually next to each other. And this is where my garden flag was. Then I moved over there because as this evergreen has really filled out, there's really not room for something this tall right there. It just looks suffocated. Yeah, and this will be a project next year because I'm not really happy with this situation right here, but I like this space. Oh, and I brought this over from one of my new flower beds. Is this shepherd's hook in this bird cage, and I usually just put like fake plants or decor or something in it, but it was too tall for that front bed, so I was like, okay, well, I'll stick it over here, and I think it's fine there for now. But anyways, I think this is good enough that I can get to planting, and I have evaluated multiple times about whether to divide this hosta and stick it back there somewhere. The only place where it would thrive is in the very back, and I don't want it next to that plant. So I'm just going to have to figure out something else to do with it. It may just temporarily go in one of my cottage garden raised beds until I figure out what to do with it. Because I'm just discovering they just need deep, deep shade here because we get so hot in the summer. So, and I don't have very many places like that. So anyways, let me get these planted. We've got them in, and we're getting so bright that it's hard to see, but it is looking really good. I'm happy with it. Let's see if you can see the one in the back. Okay, so next step is mulch and then garden decor, and so we're gonna time lapse through that as well and wrap up this project. Oh, and all this cleanup. Well, y'all, I got it done, and the sun is partly on the bed, so it's like hard to show you, but I'll show you. Got all my mess cleaned up. So you can see how we're really bright in the front, so I will just take you in the bed to show you some other stuff up close. And I didn't want to go get more mulch for that when I know next weekend I'm just going to be putting in a plant there, so I'll finish the mulch when I do that. But this view, this is kind of what I was planning for, is this shot here. And I do like how, you know, the evergreen is off center, because I did originally have them in a line and I was like, well, that's boring. So anyways, these are looking great. That and when it starts getting bright, that chartreuse color back there, like really, it's harder to see, but it also pops against the mulch. Like, it looks so great with the mulch. But I bet you in the morning, when this is more in shade, this and the light is evenly spread across this whole bed, that it will pop more, because it was when I first had it sitting there and then the sun came up over the trees behind me. So anyways, I'm really loving how this turned out, and I think with the garden decor and then the plants more filled in, I don't think I'll feel compelled to add annuals, which is good, because I want these to be the statement pieces. These are all perennials, and so I wanted them to, you know, make this bed. And then of course there'll be an evergreen here, and then that gives me room, you know, through here if I want to do some annuals, cool, then that'll be great. Let me know what you think about this project. Give me a thumbs up if you guys made it to the end. I hope that you enjoyed watching this transformation with me. And I'm gonna get these guys watered in before I gotta hop inside for a meeting, and which I'm gonna have to take sweaty because I don't have time to take a shower, so that's gross. But anyways, yeah, I'm really digging it. And that corner of that bed has been needing a makeover, and although I wasn't planning on putting that pampas grass there, I love it. Look at it. Look at the size. It's just perfect. It just comes up over the porch a bit so that you can see the bloom, and it's very lovely. And it's not, you know, it's a dwarf, so usually those can get like 10 feet tall. But this guy won't. I mean, it might get a few feet taller than that next year, but that's fine. That would still meet the middle of the roof line of the house and the ground, which would be perfect. So it's all good. So I'm gonna get these guys watered in and get to my work call, and hopefully I'll be doing a fall porch refresh video for you guys soon. I need to get out my fall decor, and I'm going to deep clean the porch and like the porch ceiling and the furniture and like all that jazz when I do it. Hoping to do that next weekend. Fall is my favorite season, so I have like literally 4 or 5 tubs of inside and outside fall decor, so I can't wait to get it up. Just been too busy to do it lately, so that will be a video soon, and look forward to seeing you guys then.